the Everything But Politics podcast.
Hello and welcome back, Everything But Politics listeners. What a fun episode we have for you guys today. With us is Rommy Gelly. And Rommy, I apologize. I'm from Indiana, so never in my life have I been able to roll my R's the way you did as you introduce yourself. I could never, but it's great to have you here with us. How are you, Rommy? And good morning. Good morning to you. Where I am and where Evan is at, it is night. So why don't you tell our listeners where you're at?
Thank you so much, Merrick and Ivan. I'm super, super grateful to be here. And yeah, good morning. Here in Bali is 10 a.m., so it's a very shiny day. And it's okay about the R, no worries. I can follow me. And I'm really happy and yeah, excited to be here with you guys.
Love that. And you were telling us before we got rolling here that you are not originally from Bali, whatever, Indiana, I don't know. But why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and what it is exactly that you do in Bali?
Beautiful, sure. Well, I am Mexican, born and raised in Mexico, and I've been living in Bali for the last 5.5 years. Um, I came I came to Bali 5 years and a half ago because I was invited to a beautiful festival that is called Bali Spirit Festival, which is a big conscious festival of healing and awakening and beautiful uh, people around the world that comes. So I was invited as a healer to give one-on-one sessions and as a facilitator because I facilitate meditations and breath work. And that's the reason why I'm here in Bali.
That's awesome. That is so amazing. And what exactly do you do that causes you to heal people? What are some techniques that's kind of such a vague word, I feel, for so many?
Sure. Well, I studied different methodologies. I am originally come from the corporate. I'm an economist and a digital
Okay.
marketer in Mexico, and I work in huge corporates in Mexico before this. But I was always feeling that there was something missing, right? Like I was feeling empty. I was having like this
Mm-hmm.
kind of like bigger conscious awareness about things, but it wouldn't make sense for me to be just this body, this experience. And I had a few experiences since a child that I wasn't understanding why I was limited in this body experience. And so after I left the corporate and I decided to quit and to leave everything, my successful career and very well
Mm-hmm.
paid, I moved to a beach town, and then my spiritual awakening started. And between this, I had an accident. Well, I moved to the town, and with the accident, I fell down skiing, and I broke a few bones, including the knee. So I couldn't walk, and the whole process took me 8 months that I was mainly in bed. And I healed very fast in 5 weeks, but then I went out and then I hurt myself again and went back to bed. And then I healed fast with my mind. I didn't use any medicine or nothing. But I was meditating all the time. Most of the time I was meditating in bed. And then I healed fast, went out, hurt again, and came back to bed. So that happens like 4 or 5 times. And I have all that. I even wrote a book a few years ago with other friends. So after that, this understanding that life, it was not about healing myself fast as with my own healing techniques, with meditations, with by visualizations. It was about understanding the deeper message, of
Absolutely.
Yeah.
changing my life, of stepping into something higher, and to be, in my understanding, of service to myself and to others. So I studied different techniques while in bed. Like, I mean, since I am 14 years old, I have the tool of meditation. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
meditating since almost a child, and then I did like a Reiki masters levels, and I studied theta healing and a few like different technologies of and tools of healing, energy healing, and while I was in bed recovering, I was starting to give sessions by phone because I couldn't walk. So when I was giving sessions and being like an open, clear channel, doing nothing like a nun, mostly alone in my bed during this. So I got all the time in the world to meditate, to connect, to understand myself. I did pass through a lot of suffering. It was painful in every sense, also brokenhearted. My ex just left me and never came back. So it was many things happening, in a new town. In this town, there was no doctors. So, I mean, no therapists. So they have to come from different towns. So it was really challenging. And then the fact of coming back and forth every time I was being healed by myself, it was even worse. So at some point, I just surrendered. And I remember me like talking to life, to universe, to whatever you can want to call it, God, goddess, source, and promising like, I am so sorry. I had been so egoist and so blind that I'm not seeing the message, and I'm just thinking like I just have to heal and to my ego just keep going, and I'm just clearly here for a different purpose. And I remember the minute that I surrender and I was in bed, I couldn't bend myself on my knees because physically I couldn't, but my life started to change. So I started receiving, during this period of time, I also receiving a lot of guidance. My channels went like very deep, very open. I was just very connected with the divine, started to be very disconnected with others, with humans, because I was in a lot of pain, but I was just receiving a lot of beautiful messages and in full love with everything, with plants, with animals, you know, with with nature, and so very very connected. And then through this space, I started giving sessions, and I got certifications as a theta healer, as I say, make Reiki master, energy healer. But then I started creating my own, and it just came to my own. And then while doing that, it was word of mouth. I was giving sessions for free to friends, to family, and they started just speaking about me. This was in Tulum. So in Tulum, it's a big hub of healers and interesting people, and people that are awakening and looking their spiritual guidance. So this happens there this is 2018. And then they started recommending me like places all over the world. Then they sent me to Costa Rica to do the same as a healer in a beautiful festival. And then someone listened in Bali, and they reached out to me and invited me to the Bali Spirit Festival also as a healer and as a facilitator. And I came to Bali to give my sessions. And it's according to the people, they are really powerful, and they start experimenting like lots of transformation. In one of the venues I work in person, like currently, they called my session psychic theta healing, because I am a psychic and because there is nothing similar, but they have to put a label, a name. So theta healing is a methodology, one of the methodologies that I have been certified in. But psychic, because I don't ask anything to my clients. I just see them my first time, close your eyes, don't tell me anything about you, and then I start reading them and supporting them in their paths. So yeah, that's basically about the healing. And other part is the breath work that I run breath work ceremonies, which they are sitting down, eyes closed for an hour breathing, but I do like a whole thing before. I set up a shamanic wheel. I do some prayers. I am a moon dancer and initiated in shamanism. So I put a medicine wheel and energy work and prayers while they are meditating. The methodology is my own creation. And also, again, I got different certifications before creating my own. And they said like it's like some people say that it's like ayahuasca journey, like medicine plants, like they reach these altered states of consciousness. And I'm sure it's not only the breath, it's my embodiment of the channels, of the codes, of the love that I can pass to them, transmit to them through my own, through my own practice and connection.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. There's I love talking with people like you that are, passionate about what their end goal is, what their life has become. Your life, obviously, you've made a huge shift moving literally across the world. Something I do want to jump back into that I've heard you mention in other interviews prior to this, Romy, going back to when you were a kid. Uh, you know, a lot of the time you've mentioned that and God bless your mother, but she put you on medication that maybe at the time you didn't even realize was bad for you. And I could speak I similarly when I was in high school, I had allergies, whatever allergies are. Everyone's got freaking allergies. So I was put on like Allegra or Zyrtec, whatever. I mean, whatever. And my allergies never got any better. I don't take any pills anymore, nothing, and I don't have maybe seasonal allergies. I mean, but like 2 weeks of a runny nose. There's no pills entering my body. When did you kind of realize that that was not a natural approach to your healing process?
Yeah, I totally resonate with you and Merrick, and that's right. So as a child, my mom, because she loved us and she didn't know better,
Same with our mom. Same with our mom.
yeah, right. She thought that every time I sneeze, she had to put antibiotics on my mouth, right? And by then, it was very easy to get antibiotics, and you didn't even have to go to the doctor. It was like more open. This is years ago in Mexico. So now it's changed. So I was just like, doesn't feel good, and I didn't see myself feeling any better. And then I was better, but then the gastritis, the belly. So it was always like weird. So I don't know how but I have, since I remember a child, always having like a different perspective, like really rare. And I can share with you a little piece of my childhood.
And tell us, please.
Yes, and just to finish this idea. So after having this realization, I was just like, this shouldn't be it, Like why would I get sick just because when it's cold? And my mom was like, wear a sweater or else you're gonna get sick. So that was her constantly words, No, put yourself a jacket or else you're gonna get sick. So imagine your mom telling you all the time these things, and I started to believe that. And I remember when the first time I traveled to Europe as a child, like in exchange to learn the language, living with a family, like really taken care of, you're living in a family, And then I didn't wear a sweater, and that was really cold, and there was sometimes even snowing and raining, and I got wet, and I started realizing that I was healthy, like, so I really don't need to wear a sweater. I really don't need to all this, and I start healing myself with my own awareness, like my own guidance. There was something always inside of me guiding me to a more elevated state of consciousness, but I didn't know it was that. I wouldn't even label that as it is, right? I
It's
was
like less is more.
Yeah. And so telling you this piece of my childhood. So I was, as a child, having another perspective. And then I remember I was always, when they ask me as a child, what are you gonna be when you're grow up? And people say like doctor, blah, blah, blah. I was saying a magician. And people will laugh, and I was like, why? Like I'm a magician. So I was always having like this type of things. And then when I was about maybe around 8, I told my parents, like, I need to talk about things, but I think you will not understand me. And they're super open and loving, but still. And they were like, what things? I'm like, no, I think I need someone, So they took me to the psychologist, because I asked them to take them to my psychologist, because I wasn't feeling understood in this kind of like life as a child, imagine. And I was doing great at school. I was the best student at school, and all my friends are on my Facebook and they know what I'm saying is true. I was really great at school and everything, but it wasn't that. It was like there was something that I wasn't understanding. And then after talking with the psychologist, a couple of them, I was telling them like, okay, I feel. And I give this exact example I'm going to give you guys. I feel that when there is someone is playing baseball, I used to love baseball as a child, apparently. So when someone is playing baseball and I'm watching them, if I am fearful, maybe they can hit the ball wrong. Or if I am just excited and I know they're going to hit the ball correctly, they will. And then the psychologists were like, why? What are you talking about? Because you are shouting at them, you are distracting at them, they're looking at you. And I was like, no, just because when I see them and I think that, maybe they receive that. So it was really difficult for me to voice that, but I was speaking about quantum mechanics, how the reality changes by the observer. But I didn't know this as a child. And so the psychologists just remember they diagnosed me after a few months as having they told I had the omnipotent and omnipresent syndrome, which means I was believing I was God, that I could create my reality and that I could be in many places at the same time. And that was so crazy, especially because Mexico was very religious, that I was such a bad girl. Like, how do I believe I am God? And that's crazy. Like, nobody, that's not even possible. And so I woke up, I grew up like that, believing that I was a bad person, and I was a little bit like, not crazy, because again, my grades at school were good. So it's not like, I never felt dumb or silly or nothing, but just feeling like strange, like bad, and, like imagine. And so I just leave it like that. But then it turns out that I was having like a different consciousness, like really higher than maybe the rest of the people.
But what's interesting about what you just said is, 8 years old talking about quantum mechanics. I mean, I'm 24. I couldn't tell you the first thing about quantum mechanics. How so how about this? As you've gotten older and have done these medicines and have done the healing, what do you know now about quantum mechanics that you didn't understand at 8?
So I didn't speak about quantum mechanics at all at 8, because I had no clue, and I didn't understand maybe until right now exactly quantum mechanics. But I get to study more and be more aware about quantum mechanics about 2018, especially with Joe Dispenza. I start hearing of him and then realizing and then just deepening, right? But what I was sensing and knowing about the reality, it's now that I know a bit more, it's quantum mechanics. It's quantum awareness, right? So I never spoke about quantum mechanics as a child, but now what I can tell you, first of all, quantum mechanics, it's not to understand with the mind, because the mind is really limited to be able to understand. So that would be the first approach, I would say. And then second, quantum mechanics, in my understanding, is based in the subatomic particles, which are like smaller, so than the atoms and the molecules. So studying these subatomic particles and having the understanding that there is that these electrons can be in different places simultaneously at the same time, can be in your body and can be in a stone and can be somewhere else in Japan. So it's really hard to understand with the mind that. And also quantum mechanics have different laws and different principles. And one of the principles is the principle that I was explaining to the psychologists as a child, saying that by the eyes of the observer, reality changes, because they did this experiment while electrons were passing through. I mean, this is too much science, and I'm not really like a scientist, but they passed through they were shooting at electrons towards a hole, and electrons were going like everywhere else. But the minute nobody was looking, the minute the scientists look at this, then the electrons would go through the holes. And they were like, how come the electrons now go through the holes? And so that means that they were affected by the eye of the observer, meaning by someone looking and having the intention and having the intention of something. Electrons changed their way, because the scientists were expecting electrons to go through the holes. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but
Yeah,
this
it
is
makes sense. Absolutely.
These are the secrets of the universe.
yeah, and this is
Exactly.
based on science, right? I'm just explaining this like in a more casual, friendly way, because again, the first thing when I share about these journeys or about quantum mechanics to my students or clients, the first thing I told them, like, please try not to understand with the mind. Just listen, just embody that, embrace that and be open. But don't try to understand them, because then you're gonna be blocked, because mind is really limited. As in my experience, in my knowledge, in my wisdom, science is very limiting. So science allows us to grow, but there is a limit where science is like, okay, if this is not proved by science, that doesn't exist. And I know there's many other things that are and exist and have existed and will ever exist, that science still don't recognize them. So that's why I feel like science is a little bit limited. I love using a bit of science because of the minds of the people. They want to have something based on science so that they can trust and believe. And once a person trusts and believe, then they can experience like real transformation and magic and expand their consciousness.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, people who go on these journeys, I'm sure there's tons of challenges that they have to overcome throughout the journey. What are some of your biggest challenges and how did you overcome them?
Overcoming what in my career?
Your biggest challenges in gaining full consciousness.
Well, my biggest challenges, like normally in my life, I would say it's normally my limited beliefs, you know. So when I'm just unconsciously believing something, and then this something is being manifested in my life again and again and again, and no matter what I do out there, it's not changing. That could be one of the most, the biggest challenges, you know. So. What I love doing is just coming back to myself within and trying to understand what is it that I am believing or thinking, which is not really easy to, as yourself, to be aware, but through meditation and I would say deep meditation, it helps, right? So
Yeah.
another challenge would be in my career. Really, I haven't had challenges, which is like really rare, because I don't use any paid ads. I don't use like nothing to promote myself. I just use my social media and I post my testimonials of my clients, and then people reach out to me. So I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to, So my friends that know me and know my daily practice know the path that I've walked in my spirituality, and that I go to Vipassanas maybe twice a year, 10 days. I recently went to a retreat in a dark room. So I was alone in a dark room for 10 days, 24/7 darkness, silence, and solitude. And I was just meditating. So my friends that know my path, they just believe me. And when I share here in Bali, my workshops, they just like it. They find it transformational and they want to keep working with me. And that's how I have all these clients that I have, because I have a lot of clients and I'm grateful about that. But I don't have to sell myself. So it's in my path. I think it's been, there is no challenges, but the challenges would be more in my personal life. Maybe when I wasn't really embodied or owning all my emotions, or having these patterns as a Latin, for example. A Latin can be more in the pattern of victimhood or unempowering or drama, or like there's things that were there that I've been healing a lot. And the limiting belief system, the wounded child, inner child, the wounded woman, the like the child traumas, like maybe all, but in general, that's mind. So I would say if I got to have challenges, it would be my own mind that I'm going through, thriving, but yeah, at some
Yeah.
point.
And for anyone listening to this that maybe does feel, in that, I don't want to use the word anxious, but in that unconfident, slow moving place in their life, what is there any breath work or meditation practices that you would recommend to them?
Yeah, definitely. So breathwork has different. It's like medicines. So it's different modalities of breathwork to reach different things, especially to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a system that puts you in like rest and digest. It's very important to breathe through the nose, inhale through the nose, and exhale through the mouth. And it's important to do the exhalations way longer than the inhalations. So this is telling your mind and your system that you are okay, that you are not in danger, and you are breathing consistently. So I would recommend, depends, if they are in a lot of anxiety, the first thing to remember is like, okay, and if they are totally lost in anxiety alone and they don't know where to go, what to do, go to your breath, and to your heart, and then close your eyes and know that this is okay, and just start breathing, as I say, like through the nose very calmly, and through the mouth longer, like and so breathing like this, it can be even eyes closed, and knowing that that it's okay, because at the end everything is an illusion. The only thing real is the love. Every trauma, every fear, every confusion, everything that worry us, it's just illusions, and if we surrender to that, if we stay into that, it's not gonna work. So we have to surrender to the inner guidance, and knowing 100% with certainty that this is temporarily, this is gonna pass, this shall pass too, and just come
Wow.
back to another technique they can use for to relax is like for 4 times inhaling, like 4 times holding your breath, 4 times exhaling. This can be only nose. 4 times holding your breath and 4 times inhaling, So like,
Isn't that called box breathing?
yes, exactly. And that's also really good for creating more heart coherence. But I would say they can be triggered to do the box breathing if they are like a lot of anxiety. So I would say just lay down, close your eyes. You can even put your hands in your heart to connect with your heart, and another hand in your belly or whatever, or in your heart. And then start breathing, as I said before at the beginning, right? Like really deep, long breath in through the nose, and longer sighing out through the mouth, like
It's very calming. It's very
yeah.
calming hearing you breathe for some reason. Uh, Romy, it is. I'm gonna be trying these things here. But, it's late here, so I'm gonna do it before bed. But really appreciate you coming on our show, dropping some of these bits of wisdom.
Been
Like I
awesome.
said, thank you so much. But before we let you depart, can you let our listeners know where they could find you and everything that you're working on?
Sure, they can find me through my website, which is rommygelly.com.
Mhm.
And also they can find me on my Instagram, which is also rommygelly.com. And I would love to work with them. I can offer different tools. I'm also, through my own experience, a mentor and spiritual guide. So I would be super happy to work with them. I have a company and everything is settled down, everything is automated, everything is super reliable, like you guys are safe. And I just feel called to give them a message, even though you are not asking me, but just to really, really remember that the only reason for us to be here and to exist is to be in love and in full joy and surrender, to
Mhm.
really trust that whatever circumstance out there, whatever awful and difficult it seems to be, just always come back to your heart, come back to your breath, trust, and just be love. So the only way to sort any type of problem in this life is just by putting more love to yourself and to others. Be more loving with yourself, be more compassionate. And there's nothing wrong with any one of you. You are okay. There's nothing wrong. It is all perfect as it is, and you can always do a change. You can always become a better person. Just be love and be the love you want to receive. If you feel alone and you feel you want more love, then reach out a friend and give them love, and you will see like miraculous results.
That's awesome. And
Thank you
speaking of
so
perfect,
much.
one more thing before we go. Can you give us that perfect R roll again before we go?
Wrong.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you
All
guys.
right.
Pleasure
See
getting
ya.
to meet you. Happy to know more about you soon. Thank you.
Absolutely.